It honestly baffles me when people say Rumi looks autistic. Like, what exactly does that even mean to you? And more importantly, even if she is, why does it matter? Anyway, I am currently on the set of a photo shoot for my book, feeling all glammed up thanks to Cole and Darius, who worked their magic with hair and makeup. While I am at it, I figured I would drop a cheesy little joke your way, because why not? Oh, and shout out to Sienna for handling the camera work today. All right, I have a corny joke. Ready for it? What happens when a snowman throws a tantrum? He has a meltdown. Come on now, you know that one made you smile. Anyway, welcome back to Star Hush, the place where we serve the real tea and never sugarcoat the truth. Let's jump into it, because lately, people have been cutting up, and not in the best way. Let's be real. Beyoncé and Jay-Z have never been ones to flaunt their kids in the spotlight, especially the twins, Sir and Rumi Carter. They have gone out of their way to protect their privacy, and for years, people have wondered why they guard their family life so closely. But now, after what just happened, they have every reason to keep doing exactly that. During a heartfelt moment at Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter performance, something that should have been about love, pride, and applause, she brought Rumi out on stage with her. It was a touching scene between mother and daughter, one that should have been met with joy. But instead, the internet turned sour. Fast. The minute Rumi appeared in front of the crowd, the online world flipped. Suddenly, people turned into armchair critics and faux medical experts, dissecting her every move, her eyes, her posture, even her smallest gestures. The speculation got ugly fast, with strangers throwing out reckless comments, suggesting she might have a condition, completely crossing the line and spreading harmful assumptions. That kind of energy? It's exactly why Beyoncé stays so guarded. She has always been fiercely protective of her children, and this only reinforced why she keeps her family out of the spotlight. She is done entertaining these baseless internet diagnoses, and the notion that her daughter is some kind of public discussion point. The truth is, Rumi was simply being herself, happy, relaxed, and surrounded by love. But instead of letting the moment shine, people chose to tear it apart. And now, we need to talk about what really went down at that Cowboy Carter concert, because it was beautiful, bold, and chaotic all at once. First, let's talk numbers. Beyoncé's latest tour has been making serious waves, but not just because of the performances. People have been whispering about the ticket prices, calling them outrageous, luxury level expensive. And with that, a growing number of voices are wondering, is the queen of the stage slowly approaching her final bow? Here's the thing. Despite all the buzz and anticipation, some seats at Beyoncé's latest concert were surprisingly empty. But say whatever you want, because when the curtain rose, she did what she always does. Delivered a powerhouse performance with every ounce of energy in her body. Nobody can say she holds back. She poured her soul into that stage like only Beyoncé. This time around, she was not aiming for just a solo spectacle. She wanted the show to feel warm and personal, like a celebration with family. And who better to help with that than her firstborn, Blue Ivy? Seasoned and sure of herself, Blue graced the stage with ease. She moved like a seasoned pro, smooth, poised, completely locked in. This was not a debut. This was confidence carved from experience. Then came the moment that truly stunned the crowd, the unexpected twist. Beyoncé brought out little Rumi Carter during her performance of Protector, and jaws dropped. Nobody saw it coming. But the way Rumi stepped into the spotlight, it was pure magic. She had clearly seen the rehearsals, but once she stepped out, there, she made it her own. There was no fear, no hesitation. Rumi waved to the audience with a joy that radiated through the entire arena. She embraced the moment with the ease of someone twice her age, completely at home in that spotlight. And then came the most touching part of the night. Rumi turned and gave Beyoncé a warm, heartfelt hug right there on stage. In that second, the superstar veneer slipped away. Beyoncé's smile widened into something tender and raw, the unmistakable look of a proud mother. And honestly, the crowd felt it too. The applause swelled as Beyoncé wrapped Rumi in a loving embrace, letting go of the performer mask for just a moment and basking in the joy of motherhood. It was one of those rare moments where the lights, the fame, and the cameras all faded into the background. What mattered most was the love in that hug. The music quieted and the stage lights dimmed to a warm glow. It was no longer about the show. For one unforgettable moment, it was simply a mother embracing her child in front of the world. But Beyoncé was not done with the surprises. Soon after, Blue Ivy returned to the stage, this time alongside their grandmother, the one and only Miss Tina Knowles. The family energy was unmistakable. It wrapped around the crowd like a soft hug. Blue Ivy beamed with joy, confidently waving to fans, radiating the presence of someone who was born to be there. It was clear, she had been waiting for her moment to shine again, and when the opportunity came, she stepped right back into the light like it had been hers all along. You could tell Blue missed the rush of the stage. And when that curtain lifted for her return, she stepped out like a seasoned star, calm and composed, every movement deliberate. Her grace, unshakable. Her rhythm, locked in. It was clear she had practiced, prepared, and poured herself into every second. But then there was Rumi, bringing a completely different kind of magic. While Blue embodied precision and polish, Rumi brought spontaneity and sparkle. She was not focused on perfect steps or camera cues. She was living in the moment, joyfully waving and beaming with innocence. Her light came from a place of pure heart, and that contrast, it was beautiful. The decision to have both daughters on stage was more than symbolic. It was storytelling. Blue gave us that refined star quality, while Rumi reminded us of the wonder and unfiltered joy of childhood. Together, their presence gave the concert an emotional depth that went beyond music or performance. It was legacy unfolding before our eyes. Beyoncé standing tall with both her daughters at her side was not just a visual, it was a message. Generational love, full circle power. No wonder the audience was in tears, with legends like Oprah and Gayle King among them, visibly moved by the rare vulnerability Beyoncé allowed the world to witness. But just as the sweetness of that moment echoed through the hearts of many, the internet turned sour. Ever since Rumi's big debut on the Cowboy Carter tour, the online chatter has been relentless. What should have been celebrated with grace quickly spiraled into mess, with social media critics and media outlets alike crossing lines they should have never approached. Instead of cherishing the special moment on stage, people immediately shifted the focus, asking, "Where's Sir Carter?" as if Beyoncé owed the public a full roll call of her children. Just because Rumi made an appearance did not mean her twin brother had to follow suit. But the internet, as it often does, went into overdrive. And that is when things really spiraled. Soon, online users began obsessively watching every little gesture Rumi made, as if they were specialists trained to analyze behavior. They zoomed in, froze frames, and made baseless guesses, tossing around medical diagnoses like they came from textbooks they had never actually read. It became a toxic game of pretend expertise. Worse still, some voices on social media made the cruel leap of assuming, if Rumi acts like this, Sir must be even more hidden for a reason. That kind of talk was not just reckless, it was deeply disrespectful. And this right here is why Beyoncé has always kept her children protected from the glare of the spotlight. The internet is now doing the very thing she feared, turning innocent moments into chaos. Let's be very clear. Beyoncé never invited this storm of speculation. She allowed a rare glimpse into her family life, a beautiful gesture of vulnerability. And instead of gratitude, she received judgment and noise. Some people even went digging through her homecoming Netflix documentary, rehashing the part where she spoke openly and bravely about her pregnancy struggles. In that documentary, Beyoncé talked about the serious complications she faced while pregnant with her twins, Rumi and Sir. She opened up about developing preeclampsia, a dangerous condition that affects many pregnant women, particularly Black women over the age of 35. She did not share that to spark gossip. She did it to shed light on a health issue that is often ignored. But rather than holding space for that truth, people twisted her words. Some tried to link those complications directly to the twins' public appearances, suggesting that a high-risk pregnancy somehow defines who her children are. That kind of thinking is not only unfair, it is harmful. And here is where the weight of the story truly comes into focus. Beyoncé's decision to keep her twins away from the public eye was not about preserving mystery or building intrigue. It came from a place of deep lived experience. In Homecoming, she revealed just how intense and frightening her pregnancy really was. She battled severe high blood pressure, faced organ strain, and at one point, doctors saw signs of potential damage to her liver and kidneys. This was not just a rough pregnancy, it was a medical emergency. And then came the moment that would stay with her forever. One of the twins' heart rates dropped multiple times. That terrifying situation forced her to undergo an IE. When Beyoncé welcomed Rumi and Sir into the world, her first instinct was not to rush them into the spotlight. Her focus was on shielding them, giving them room to grow up in peace, far from the glare and judgment that comes with global fame. She wanted to preserve their innocence, not parade them for public approval. But even with all that context, the speculation never stopped. Lately, whispers online have taken a troubling turn. Some users have floated unfounded theories suggesting the twins may have developmental differences. And instead of accepting that every child moves at their own rhythm, social media has become a hub for reckless speculation, crossing deeply personal and inappropriate boundaries. Even some public figures have joined in, making things worse. Azealia Banks, for instance, stirred up controversy by blasting Beyoncé online, accusing her of hiding her son and insinuating shame. She claimed that eventually people would find out, suggesting Beyoncé's protectiveness would be judged harshly. Then there was Kanye West. In one of his infamous rants, he allegedly made crude and baseless remarks, questioning the twins' conception and throwing around wild accusations about their health. What was meant to be a sweet, celebratory moment for Rumi has now been tainted by unnecessary noise and disrespect. Instead of joy, the narrative turned sour, spiraling into public drama. And honestly, Beyoncé has had enough. According to sources, she is completely over it. That brief, heartfelt moment of pride, bringing her daughter on stage, was never supposed to explode into chaos. But once again, the internet proved that it struggles to handle vulnerability with grace. This is exactly why Beyoncé has always been careful about what she shares. Some people simply do not know how to honor beautiful, genuine moments without twisting them into something messy. Reports. Now say she regrets letting Rumi step into that spotlight. And given the history, who could blame her? We have seen this before. When Blue Ivy was a child, the internet was just as cruel. She faced harsh criticism, with people publicly dissecting her looks, her hair, even her expressions, ugly, uncalled-for commentary that never should have existed. That was painful to witness then, and now it is happening all over again, this time with Rumi. And if you were paying attention, you might have noticed a shift. When Rumi returned to the stage on the fourth night of the Cowboy Carter tour, she was no longer the bright, bubbly spirit fans saw before. Her energy was quieter, more subdued. There was a noticeable change, as if the weight of the world's opinions had already brushed up against her joy. Rumi's second appearance on stage was noticeably different. Gone was the carefree spark, the wide-eyed excitement. This time, she carried herself with a calm seriousness, like she had flipped a switch and tapped into full performer mode. Instantly, people started drawing comparisons to her older sister, Blue Ivy. And honestly, it would not be surprising if Blue had pulled her little sister aside after the show and given her a heart-to-heart. Something along the lines of, "You're the daughter of Beyoncé and Jay-Z, walk out there like you belong." Because let's face it, Blue Ivy has been there, done that. She has grown into a composed, confident stage presence, and she probably passed a bit of that seasoned wisdom down to Rumi. But here's the thing, something feels different now. The magic, that natural glow Rumi had, it dimmed. The waves, the bubbly energy, the spontaneous joy, it all seemed toned down. And people are feeling the shift. Some are even saying what others are thinking. We want the old Rumi back, the one who bounced with joy and waved with her whole heart. But thanks to all the overanalyzing, think pieces, and nitpicking, that freedom to just be seems to have slipped away. It is like Rumi came back on stage thinking, if I can't be myself, what is the point? You could see it in her movements. That little sarcastic wave she gave, it almost said, I know what you expect, but I have to stay in line now, or this might be my last chance to shine. That moment spoke volumes, and it did not feel fair. Let that little girl be. Seriously. And here's what really hits the heart. How did we, as a society, take a sweet, happy moment from a young black girl and turn it into a spectacle? A child was simply enjoying the spotlight, full of light and excitement, and instead of cheering her on, people chose to analyze her every move like she owed them perfection. Think about it. If your mom was Beyoncé and you had the chance to step on stage in front of thousands of cheering fans, would you not be beaming? Would you not be hyped? Rumi was doing what any kid in that moment would do, enjoying it, soaking it in, glowing. And yet, instead of celebrating her joy, some turned her moment into a public trial. But now people are waking up. More voices are stepping in to say, enough. There is no reason, ever, to scrutinize a child for simply acting like a child. And the way some folks have tried to assign labels or draw conclusions about her health or behavior is not just inappropriate, it is dangerous. And let us take this further. Even if Rumi were neurodivergent, what would that change? Would that make her any less worthy of the stage? Would it dim her light or strip her of the right to share that moment with her mom? Absolutely not. Her value, her spirit, her joy, none of that depends on anyone else's assumptions or standards. Say it louder. Every child deserves the freedom to shine in their own way. If a young girl steps on stage, lit up by love, joy, and the cheers of thousands, how is that anything but a beautiful moment to celebrate? How did a heartwarming scene between a mother and her daughter turn into people tossing around medical terminology based on a blink of a clip? The truth is, Rumi acted just like any second grader would in that dream scenario, maybe even better. She smiled, waved to her fans, clung to her mama with pride, and soaked up the energy like a little light beam. That is not odd behavior. That is the essence of being a child. And even if Rumi happens to be neurodivergent, what does that change about the moment? Nothing. It still does not give the internet a green light to turn it into some kind of diagnostic. Free for all. Every child grows, reacts, and experiences life at their own rhythm. That individuality is something to honor, not dissect. But unfortunately, the digital world is full of self-appointed analysts who seem to forget that children are not case studies. They are kids. Kids who are expressive, energetic, emotional, and constantly learning. And let's just say hypothetically, if Rumi were autistic, then what? That does not erase her joy, her right to take up space, or the light she brought to that stage. She looks like a joyful child, nurtured and loved. So now, the real question becomes,